Hey, how's it going? And today I finally have some good news to report, and it looks like LightWave is going to survive and be okay. For the last approximately 3 years, from 2020 to 2023, there has really been no development with LightWave, and it's kind of basically been on life support. It hasn't been dead, even though people have been proclaiming LightWave is dead for years now. Honestly, for decades. I remember someone saying back in 2000 that LightWave was dead. So but this is really great news. Apparently, an email went out today from the BizRT group saying that Andrew Bishop and his team have stepped forward to acquire LightWave under the name of LightWave Digital. And this is really fantastic. And if you don't know anything about Andrew Bishop, he's apparently the owner or involved with Quantum Digital, and he's a really top tier 3D developer, artist, entrepreneur. This guy is a godsend for LightWave. And the greatest thing about it is that not only does he know the program, but he's very familiar with the 3D world. So it's very exciting that somebody that's more than just a power user of the program is acquiring it. So anyway, this is really the great news that we've kind of just been waiting for. I never really gave up hope that LightWave would survive, and the reason why is I made a video a long time ago about comparing LightWave to a classic car that got parked in a garage, and I'll leave that video in the description. I still think that's a good analogy for what LightWave is. It's like an old classic car. It does what it does, and it's been doing it for a long time. There's a lot of newer cars with a lot of newer features now, and it seems like it's kind of leaving LightWave in the dust. But LightWave is just like the turtle in the hare. It just keeps kind of moving along, and the basics have always been there. And if you go on the LightWave gallery, it's honestly very inspiring. I mean, there's Jet Cooper. I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but he's just a phenomenal 3D modeler, and he uses LightWave, and he's had some of his hero props put in some of the major motion pictures, and there's David Aguero, and just on and on. There is such a legacy here that it always seemed like it'd be a shame for LightWave to quote unquote die, but I never really believed that you could kill the program, because I feel like it's just code really, and what you do with that code is completely up to you. So I had one comment to make really about this whole thing, and it's just that I hope everyone just remains patient, because obviously LightWave's been parked in the garage for 3 to 4 years now, and it's in need of care. There's things that we all wish it did. Probably one of the biggest ones is GPU rendering, just because LightWave is a very good renderer, but on the CPU it's just very slow. So the renders that you get out of LightWave are phenomenal, but it's just that it takes a long time to render out. So you need a render farm, or you need something. That's why a lot of people like Octane Render, but then Octane Render frighteningly almost completely dropped LightWave, and then one of the persons, I forget his name, he kind of did an end-of-life tribute build to it. But hopefully that, if LightWave doesn't get a GPU renderer, that hopefully maybe that connection to Octane Render can be brought back up so that it continues to have access to some sort of GPU rendering solution. But anyway, this is really good news. But the main point I really wanted to make was, a long time ago I had made the analogy between LightWave and a program with which I'm very familiar, which is called Vegas Pro. Vegas Pro was owned by Sony, and it was through Sony Creative Software. And on Vegas, I believe it was version 13, they did what VizRT did to LightWave. They just stopped developing it. They had life support, customer support on it. That was it. They just kind of had it available for sale, but they weren't really doing anything. There really wasn't much customer service. No bugs were being fixed. And this went on for like 2 or 3 years. And then ultimately it was bought after it had been stagnating, because like VizRT is focused on other things, things that they do. Sony was focused on trying to develop another software other than Vegas Pro. And so they kind of neglected Vegas Pro while they went off and did their thing on another software program. So what happened is, when Magix acquired the program, finally acquired and brought new life into it, well, there was, you can imagine, Vegas had been neglected for so long. There was no GPU rendering. It was behind in so many ways. All the competitors had moved on in so many different ways. Like Premiere Pro was a competitor to it. I think maybe the main competitor to it. Final Cut Pro was another competitor. I remember when the first version came out, it was version 14, and it was the first version that Magix had done, and there were so many people on the forums just complaining like relentlessly about it's even more buggy and worse than ever. And it's really interesting because what they were trying to do was bring it up to speed, and there was going to be a lot of development. There was going to be a lot of bugs. There was going to be a lot of need for beta testing and stuff like that. But eventually now Vegas Pro is on version 20, and it is, I think it's one of the best NLE nonlinear video editors on the market right now, and it's the one I use all the time. So I just have that caveat for everyone, is just be patient during this time. It's a transition period. LightWave needs a lot of love and care, and it's going to take some time. So just everyone be patient and wish Andrew Bishop and his team the best. And I'm very optimistic, more optimistic than I've ever been about the future of LightWave. And so anyway, go have yourself a glass of champagne. And thank you to Andrew Bishop.